Hey everyone, we're getting towards the tail end of the CYA series, and this week we're going to talk a little bit about utilities. I'm not really going to talk much about specifics in terms of what utilities should cost on a unit by unit basis, because every market, every city, every county is going to have their own rates, and I would encourage you to talk to a utility company, talk to a property manager in the area, or look to some of your other properties to get a sense of really what the water is, what the utilities are on a unit by unit basis. What I'm going to talk about is a couple things to keep an eye out for when you're underwriting a deal and looking at the P&L. First thing you want to look out for is if somebody's telling you that the property pays for all of the utilities, to make sure you verify those numbers in diligence. You can do that by getting the utility bills. It's one of the first things you're going to ask for. They may tell you they'll give you the most recent month's utility bills. They may even tell you they'll give you the last 3 months. Make sure you get the last 12 months of utility bills. Utilities are more seasonal than any other expense in the P&L, and you need to know what the electric was in July when the air conditioners were on, what the bills were in the winter when the heat was on. You can't judge utilities based on 1 or 3 months. Now, if they say tenants pay these utilities, this is where you're going to start running into some issues, because they'll say tenants pay electric and they'll show a big 0 on the electric line. Well, that's great from a unit standpoint, but there are a few problems with that. One, there's always going to be common area expenses for utilities, especially electric, but also typically for water, especially if they're showing a laundromat or they're showing a pool. There's going to be lights in the parking lot, there's going to be a leasing office, there's going to be just other general expenses. So make sure it's not 0, plug something in there to protect yourself. Also, when a property or unit is vacant, someone's got to pay those utilities. They'll be very nominal, no one's living there, no one's taking showers there, but there's going to be some cost to it. So just account for that. It's never going to be 0 even if tenants pay. The other issue is going to be when they tell you that they're charging back to the tenants. That could either be through a sub-meter where they charge back specific to usage, or it could be from a basic RUBS standpoint where they're charging $50 a unit per month, or they're charging based on the square footage of the unit. Now, those are great value add opportunities that were either already implemented or can be implemented, but there's a few things you got to watch out for on that. Number one is, more times than not, I see that line item go below the vacancy factor, basically saying there's some vacancy of rental rate, but they still charge the same $50 per unit per month for all 100% of the units regardless of vacancy. That's obviously not true. Anyone who's not living in that property, any vacant unit's not going to be paying the $50. I would highly encourage you to adjust that P&L and put that number above the line. The second thing with that is, I've seen more and more packages, because they're trying to create some value add component to a deal that they're trying to sell out on the market, put a chargeback for utilities in there where it doesn't exist today. Now, that's fine. That's something you can do as tenants roll and you add it to the lease. But what I'm also seeing is they're taking comps. They're telling you that rents are $200 below market. They're pro-forming out the additional $200, and then they're also adding another, call it $50 a month in utility expense, which effectively, from a tenant standpoint, adds $250 of additional cash flow out of their pocket to live in this complex. So if they're going to do that, make sure they're accounting for that in their comps to calculate their market rents. If the market rent comps are paying for utilities and they're proposing you that you're going to have tenants pay for it, you're now $50 over market. So just be aware of that. So if you see a utility line item in there, if the property pays, get a full 12 months of utility bills to make sure you're accounting for the entire season. If they say tenants pay for it and they're putting $0 in utilities, make sure something's in there for common expense and vacant units. If they're saying they charge back tenants, make sure it's accounting for vacant units, and make sure that the rents are aligned with the rest of the market relative to having the tenants pay utilities, because that is meaningful. So keep an eye out for the blog, keep an eye out for your P&L relative to the utilities, and you'll be in good shape. Talk to you soon.